Hello everyone, welcome to Amigos IAS. I am Adnan. In today's segment, we'll be discussing Enforcement Directorate. So the reason Enforcement Directorate is in news is because Supreme Court has warned the ED that it should not behave in vindictive manner as if it's taking some revenge. So this was in a particular case for a real estate group. So let us try to understand what is Enforcement Directorate, what is its structure, its functions and its jurisdiction. So let us start with the news first. Supreme Court has remarked that Enforcement Directorate cannot be vindictive in its approach. It said that it should actually give the grounds of arrest in writing to the accused at the time of arrest. So what was the case here? There is a group called as M3M Real Estate Group. Okay, and their directors Pankaj Bansal and Basant Bansal were arrested by ED. But they were not given any orders in writing as to what grounds are there to arrest them. Only ED, what it has done, it has just read out the reasons. So reading out is not enough because it is completely arbitrary. You cannot be reading out in one case, giving the writing in one case. So Supreme Court is saying that you should not be having this kind of arbitrariness in dealing with different cases. And even though Punjab and Haryana High Court has declined to set aside their arrest under the PMLA Act, but now Supreme Court has said that no, if you do like this, we will be releasing those persons. That means in this financial crime, of course, it is not proved yet, but in this case, if you don't follow the right procedures, then Supreme Court is warning that we will be coming and taking the action here. That means the case here talks about in writing you have to mention the reasons that why you are arresting this particular persons. That is the point. And the act mentioned here is Prevention of Money Laundering Act. So we'll be discussing all this in this class. So before that, what is this Enforcement Directorate? So first things first, it is not a constitutional body and it is not a statutory body. It is an investigating agency. So please understand these terms, and which involves in multiple disciplines. Okay, and what is the main mandate of ED? Money laundering prevention, and it has to take care about the violation of foreign exchange laws. That means you have to understand that economic offenses is the mandate of Enforcement Directorate. So please keep this keyword in your mind, economic offenses, or I can say financial crimes. This is also the mandate of ED. What about CBI? CBI also sometimes involves in economic offenses, but mostly related to crimes they will be taking care of. Okay, so ED is coming under what department? Department of Revenue. In which ministry? Ministry of Finance. So please keep these points in mind, can be asked in MCQs also. But if you go back to the origin of ED, was it similar always? No. The origin is happening on May 1st, 1956. At that time, it was started by the name of Enforcement Unit, not like Directorate as we have now. And what was the department at that time in the Ministry of Finance? It was Department of Economic Affairs in the beginning. For what purposes? Foreign Exchange Regulation Act 1947. Later it was amended in 1973 and repealed in 1998 by Vajpayee government, and then we brought FEMA, Foreign Exchange Management Act. This is another important fact. So in the next year 1957 they renamed this enforcement unit to Enforcement Directorate, and after 3 years what they have done, the administrative control from this economic affairs has been transferred to Department of Revenue within the Ministry of Finance. So understanding which ministry they come from and which department they come from is essential for the MCQs in prelims. So please keep these points in your mind. Next aspect is what is the structure here. The headquarters are there in Delhi, and the Director of Enforcement is the person who is heading the ED. Okay, so the director will be heading the ED, and it has 5 regional offices: Mumbai, Chennai, Kolkata, Delhi and Chandigarh. These are headed by special directors of enforcement. Then they also have 10 zonal offices headed by deputy directors, 11 subzonal offices headed by assistant director. Of course, these are somewhat difficult to remember in the context of exam, but at least understand the headquarters are in Delhi and headed by Director of Enforcement. And who are these persons? These persons are actually sometimes selected directly by the government, and sometimes they are drawn off from various other investigating agencies. They could be IAS officers, IPS officers, IRS, customs, excise. All these officers will be also a part of this ED. Okay, as you have seen these particular directors. And what is their tenure? Tenure is 2 years. But the director's tenure can be extended up to 5 years. This was in news a lot. Again, this is a different topic and we discuss some other day. So extension of the chief of CBI directors as well as ED were in news a lot couple of years ago also. And Supreme Court was examining, for example, as per Delhi Special Police Establishment Act, as per CVC Act, in 2021, government what it has done is it has extended the tenure of these directors for 5 years. That means every year, annually, you are going to extend. Annual extensions are there. So I will be explaining this. Just hold on. For example, if a person has completed 2 years of tenure, next year what government can do? It can give 1 year additional tenure. Again 1 year. Again 1 year. That means maximum how many is there? 3 times. Total is how much? 5. That means 5 times. That is 5 years maximum. The director of these, CBI or the ED can be having this tenure. So the appointment of this Mishra, the extension of the ED officer Mishra was in news till recently also. But Supreme Court has told no more extension to this Mishra as the chief of ED. But Government of India told Supreme Court that, sir, there is something called as FATF, and their annual review is there right now. Financial Action Task Force, which is responsible for tackling the money laundering and combating corruption. India is a part of this. India has to submit reports for this, and we need this person for this. Government of India told. Supreme Court told, can't you find other competent officers? Anyway, the case has ended. Supreme Court upheld the extension of Mishra, but it has told no more further extensions will be allowed now. But the changes which were brought to CVC Act, Vigilance Commission Act, okay, and also DPSC, Delhi Police Special Establishment Act, regarding extension of tenures has been held as valid by Supreme Court. That means now they can be given annual extensions up to 5 years. That is the term. Hopefully you understood. If not, please ask for clarification in the comment box. Okay, enforcement of acts. Generally, there are two acts which are mostly enforced by Enforcement Directorate. One is the Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002, and next one is the FEMA, Foreign Exchange Management Act. These two are the primary acts. Then sometimes recently Government of India has held, because some of the people in India, they are actually doing financial crimes and they are settling in other countries. They are leaving India. So to prevent people from leaving or escaping India, we are having this act called as fugitives. Okay, those who escape by doing a crime. Economic Offenders Act 2018 also is there. And sometimes here, Conservation of Foreign Exchange, Prevention of Smuggling Activities, 1974 Coffee Posa Act also is enforced by ED. Hawala transactions, we see people are illegally transporting the money, okay, concealing the origin of the money. That is also an act which is enforced by Enforcement Directorate. So you can clearly observe it is in what nature? Economic offenses are there here. Fine. Functions. See, for example, here important sections are section 16, which is nothing but ED can survey any particular property, and section 17 says they can search and seize the properties under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. For example, a person has done a crime of 1 crore rupees. If all the amount was caught by the police for the theft, then it is fine. But if this 1 crore is not caught, in this, for example, 50 lakh rupees are there, which is not found by the police, but this 50 lakh rupees is being now used for other purposes. For example, I will just explain you what ED does. I am using this 50 lakh rupees. 50 lakh has been caught, it's okay. Remaining 50 lakhs have not been caught, but I am using 50 lakhs rupees for doing other works. Maybe I am purchasing some cars, maybe I am purchasing some other property. Now this will be investigated by the ED. So it means ED, unlike CBI, is more interested in the sources of the money, where it is coming from and where the money is traveling, the money trail, wherever it is going from one place to other place. ED will want to track this entire thing, and ED has the power to even attach the properties. So hope you understand the difference between what police investigation does and what investigation is done by ED. ED is involved in establishing the trail of money, the sources of funding, where it is coming from, and where it is being used also. ED will take care into those aspects also. So it has the powers under the PMLA Act under section 16 and 17 to search and seize the property, and section 19 gives power for ED to even arrest the accused. That is what is happening. Okay, under section 50, EDC authorities can give summons, ask for them to produce documents and give evidence also. Or ED can itself directly go there and search and seize without calling the person for questioning. Also, ED can do any kind of raids. It is not important to summon the person first and then start with the search. No, directly they can raid without asking the person, and they can seize the properties also. If the person is arrested, then ED will get how many days to file the charge sheet? 60 days. And the maximum punishment under PMLA Act goes how many years? 7 years. Again, factual data loaded here. If no one is arrested, only property is attached, then also what happens? ED has to submit this all data to the authorities within 60 days. Charge sheet has to be filed within 60 days. So all these are the factual data which talks about the how ED actually functions and how many powers it has as per the PMLA. That means it has so many powers here as per PMLA. And what about the jurisdiction here? This Foreign Exchange Act as well as Money Laundering Act, they apply all over India. And if a case is booked under FEMA, it is coming under civil courts. If a case is booked under PMLA, it is coming under criminal courts. And on any person, ED can file this case, or any company or business organization, whoever is responsible for financial crimes, ED can prosecute any person. But the only thing is, what is the catch here? It cannot take action suo moto. Suo moto means what? On its own. ED cannot take its action. That means somebody has to complain to any other investigating agency or police, then ED will investigate the matter and identify the accused. Another important point is what? ED cannot initiate cases on its own. The conviction rate of ED is always in question. While they inform that it is 93%, but the actual data shows conviction rate of ED is very less, and the number of politicians they're targeting in all the cases is hardly 2.98%, which means again allegation of bias is there. Allegations are coming there. ED is being used by the ruling party to target only the opposition party members and not the ruling party members. That is what is another allegation here. And the vindictiveness also is being questioned by the Supreme Court itself, that ED is not behaving in transparent manner with respect to all of the accused persons. Another aspect is ED is also for ordinary loss also it is involving, instead of the mandated loss of FEMA and PMLA, for unnecessary ordinary purposes also ED is being invoked. That is also another criticism of ED. Fine. So all these aspects please keep in your mind for writing any mains answers. So a question for all of you. Consider the following statements regarding the Enforcement Directorate. First statement says it works under Ministry of Home Affairs. Second one says the primary objectives of ED is to enforce black money, undisclosed foreign income and assets, and Imposition of Tax Act 2015. So which of the above statements is or are correct? So these are the options given to you. Please post your answer in the comment box, and I will also give the answer a day later or maybe by the end of the day. So that's it for today's class. I will see you again in the next class. Thank you.